Welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. Today we have a very special show because the tables have been turned. And as you can see here, I have Jenny, my assistant.
Hi, guys.
And what has been asked is that for once, I get to be the one to answer your questions versus me asking the questions. So, Jenny, I'm just going to turn it over to you. I've been collecting a lot of the questions that have come in, and I know you have some of your own. I have no idea what it is you're going to ask me, so this is going to be interesting. I'm very excited.
Yes.
And let's get right to it.
Okay. The first question is from Victoria, and she asks, what's the biggest mistake you see businesses make?
Ooh, that is a great question, Victoria. It's, you know what, it's not just one mistake. It is actually more than one. If I can narrow it down, I find that most businesses, most small businesses in particular, because they're trying to save money and they usually start with a very low budget, they cut corners, and also because a lot of them don't really have the guidance that they start a business without doing the proper research first and not really finding out if there really is a market for them, and if there is, how big is that market and what is the potential of that market, rather than just, here I go, I'm going to open up shop and people are going to come because they're going to love my stuff. I just had a client recently telling me about one of their clients who was closing a shop because they opened up this store with this very exotic gifts, a lot of exotic gifts, and they opened the store in a very luxurious area, thinking we were in the right place, location matters, this is the demographic that has the money. However, they didn't really do the proper homework, and after 2 years they had to close their doors. So very sad to see that. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see, is not doing that market research first. The second one, which is kind of embedded in that answer already, is not putting the money where it really counts. And cutting the corners, sometimes cutting the wrong corners is not, is one of the mistakes that I see. Yeah. There are lots, but those are the ones that are coming up to mind right now.
Makes sense. Our next question comes from Melody, and she asks, have you ever had to fire somebody?
Yes. But it's not a nice process. It's a very difficult thing to do. And doing that was really the last resort. I didn't just fire for the sake of just, you're fired. I've never really done it like that, where you're fired. I've had a conversation and really coming face to face to see why the behavior, why things were not aligning. And then basically, finding out if the values are not there, if the goals are not the same, and the vision is not the same, then it's like, maybe this is time for you to look elsewhere if you can't work within. So yes, I've had to do that. Fortunately, I haven't had to do it too many times. I've had to do it twice over my whole time as an entrepreneur.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty good rate considering I've had a lot of employees. However, it's not a pleasant thing to do. And if I would rather not, I will try not to, and I'll try to work with the person instead of letting them go. So from those two experiences, which happened way long time ago, I learned to assess the person at the beginning, and always come from a place of kindness, because it's easy to get angry sometimes if things are not going the way you would want, or if major mistakes have been made in a way that can hurt your company. Always come from a point of kindness. When you let them go, if you have to let them go. But hopefully you don't have to let them go.
Next question. Azade asks, you have lived in various parts of the world and you've had different careers. In your experience, what would you have done differently? And what is the main thing that has enabled you to accomplish the success you have?
What I would have done differently is probably not hold back.
What do you mean by
At times when, well, there have been times where I didn't feel 100% confident in doing certain things, and I held back where I could have either approached a person that could have been a key person, or just, jumping on an opportunity and shying away, which actually brings me to a point of there's so many opportunities out there that we miss on a daily basis. So probably, yeah, that's one thing that I would do differently is I would take on more opportunities that were presented in front of me. And the second part of the question was, what's the main thing?
What's the main thing that has enabled you to experience the success you have?
I think just never giving up. Just resilience. I would say the word is resilience.
Yeah.
In one word.
Next question.
Yes.
This is from Jess.
Okay.
And she says, I'm 1 year into my business and I'm feeling overwhelmed. I start on something and something else requires my immediate attention, leading me to delay and neglect other things equally important. When I go back to it, I almost have to start all over again to get back into the proper context. I'm not seeing profits. I can't afford to hire help and it feels like I'm drowning. Is there any hope? What do I do?
Yes, this is like the typical entrepreneur startup dilemma. I think the most important thing to do is to really set the priorities and being very strict with your schedule. Especially nowadays, there are so many distractions that come our way and get pulled. If you have a family, Jess, I don't know what your situation is, but to really get focused on really what are the most important things that need to happen, because it's very easy to get lost in the trivial things and the minutia that we think is important and may actually not be the most important thing. And I know you said you can't afford to hire somebody, but maybe consider, if you can, even a trade. When I started off, I did some of that myself years back where I traded services. So if you can find someone that can help you when you're just starting up, if you're really that low on your budget, sometimes you can even find an intern that can help you out. Somebody's looking for experience and they can give you help, and then you're giving them help in return by giving them that experience. So it's, yes, there is hope.
Yeah, I was going to say students are always looking for, work and anything they can put on their resume even. So a lot of times they'd rather take experience over payment, or payment and experience. So there's a lot of people out there who can help.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Jennifer. Okay. And she says, what was your most difficult personal block to get past and how did you do it?
The most difficult block was believing that I already had enough to do what I needed to do. When everybody else was telling me, you're already there for wherever I was. And I didn't believe it. I didn't believe in what others could see in me.
Okay.
So that was the biggest block. How did I get over it? Truthfully and openly, is seeing other people that knew less than I did and doing really well at it. And I'm like, wait a minute. So started paying attention to others and saying, well, I can do that too. So it was a realization that others were right when they were telling me that. So that's how I got over it.
Our next question comes from Jen. When a business owner has been successful and then their business takes a dive both financially and emotionally, what are some of the ways that they can get unstuck?
That's an excellent question. It's very easy to get down when if you've done very well and your business it's kind of going down the hill, and it's easy to start getting into this mental pattern of thinking that you did something wrong, or there's so many reasons why business may not be successful on the long term, and just kind of keep on going. It could be because you lost momentum or whatever the reasons are. So how do you get out of that? Is just think about how many people who are extremely successful today and how many times they failed before. So if something hasn't worked out, it has nothing to do with you. Just look at it as a lesson and just pull as much as you can out of that and use it for whatever you're going to do next, whether you're going to start another business or you're going to help another business and work for another company. It's all material that you can use. And if you can think of it that way, from that point of view, then it's easier to get out of that slump of feeling sorry for yourself. And it's like, I don't know why I can't get my business back up. Maybe the market is not there anymore for your business. Maybe the marketing needs to be changed. So I don't know why the business is going downhill, but how do you get out of that? You have to look at it from different perspectives. So maybe that business is not dead. Maybe you haven't explored all the different areas that it could be brought back up.
Our next question comes from Michelle, and she says, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah.
Well, what I see, what I'm planning already, 5 years is, and I'm actually, it should be already implemented in 5 years, is offering these training retreats for women who have come from situations where they were prevented from having jobs and careers. So that's where I'm planning to have several of those running throughout the year. That's what I see myself doing in 5 years as part of everything else that I do. But that is one thing that for sure is in the plans.
Very cool. Yeah. Our next question is from Janice, and she says, what is your best advice to someone starting their own business?
I said it before, and I always say this, is do your homework first. Do your homework first. Find out, based on whether it's your product or your service that you want to, depending on what it is you want to do, really do your homework. Where are those clients going to be? Are you going to be able to generate enough money? Don't do it by guessing. Do it by actual research. Do the homework. That is the biggest thing. If you invest in anything, that is the first thing you need to invest in. And it really isn't, you don't have to hire a company to do that for you. You can actually do the research yourself. There are ways to do it very inexpensively and almost free. Mm-hmm. You can probably do it all free.
Did you experience that when you first started your business?
Yes, when I started my first business, it was actually part of the self-employment program that I took way back. And before I could even be admitted into the program, I had to provide the research that supported that my business would actually be a viable business, that there would be people out there wanting what I had to offer. And because my business at the time was something brand new, it was kind of hard to prove that. So it was kind of a combination of having to find the facts from a different perspective and still make them work. I had done a lot of the research by asking questions. In those days, there was no Google when I did it. So I did the market research the hard way without paying a company. It was literally myself doing all the work. Market, it's absolutely vital because when you do market research, and I keep talking about this recently, it's because it's where I see lacking and a lot of small businesses, a lot of businesses have not done it. And when you do that homework, when you go through the process of finding out who your market is, it's, when I say market research, is beyond knowing how many women or men and what age range and what their income is. I'm talking about going beyond that. When I say market research, I'm talking about what is their lifestyle? What is it that they believe in? What is it that they do every day? What is it that motivates them? When you have all that information, your marketing is 70% easier. Because now you communicate, you market, you design your company in a way that appeals to them and it makes them come in. So it pulls them in versus you trying to push your stuff onto them. So that's why I market research.
Our next question is from Susan.
Okay.
And she says, at what point did you decide you couldn't do it all yourself? Who did you hire? Why did you pick that role as your first hire?
Okay, so depends on which business. So if we talk about my dance business that I started years ago, my first hire was an aerobic instructor.
Oh, nice.
So it was not even in the admin, it was not in the office part of things. So as an actual employee. So she started as an intern. She came to me though. I didn't even look for her. She had seen my marketing, advertising for the classes, and she came to me. She said, I want to work here. I'm like, okay, I'll do it for free. I'm like, okay. And so she did it for free for a little bit, and then she got hired on as an employee. After that, it was mostly instructors. I actually did a lot of the admin, and it was not until a few years later that I added front desk and admin support for the business I have now. First time administration. Yeah, because I just couldn't keep up. I was finding that spending so much time in the admin side of things was taking away time from doing things I really needed to do, like having my clients and dealing with my clients. So yes, so 18-hour days, not very good for your sleep. So yes.
I think it's difficult. What would you say? I think a lot of entrepreneurs think they have to do everything themselves, or it's not going to be right.
Yes, that's true.
How do you let go of that? Because you have to at the end of the day, like you said.
You do have to, and it's true. And I'll speak for myself. For the longest time, I did have that issue where I had a hard time giving anything out because I felt no one could do it as well as I could. And then I learned that was so wrong. For example, when I did my first marketing with the dance company way back when, I was designing my own flyers and my own brochures and everything, and I wasn't getting traction. And then someone suggested I get my graphics done by a graphic artist, and then when I saw the work come back from a professional, I was like mind blown. I'm like, oh, I suck at this. This is not my job. So yeah, that's how you may be good at a lot of things. You may be really good at doing everything. However, you shouldn't be doing everything, because you make more money by delegating the things that you don't have to do. And even if they're not as good as you, the time that you gain from having somebody else do it is still more valuable than that perfectionism, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. So delegate it. If you don't like something from somebody, if you don't like their work, you can always coach them and tell them how to do it. And I know sometimes it happens that you feel like by the time I explain it to them, I would have had it done. I've been there, okay? I know that. However, you explain to them once, you explain to them twice, but then it's done, and then you don't have to explain it again. So it's a good investment of your time to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Next question is from Bela.
Yes.
And Bela asks, how do you stay focused on all your different projects and manage them all without feeling overwhelmed?
Okay, this is an amazing question, because I'm the queen of ADD and also having multiple projects. So that's a very good question, Bela. You know what? Especially when juggling more than one company, I've struggled. I have to be honest. For the longest time, I struggled making a clean line between each project. So what I've been doing recently is actually dedicating days, specific days of the week. So this day is for this company, this day is for this company, this day is for interviews, this day is for podcasts. So I'm actually on a schedule. It's what I call B&B that I like to do. And it's basically you block your time and you batch, and you do as much as you can in those time blocks for that specific project. So that's how I'm doing it.
Awesome.
And delegating helps.
The next question is from Michelle.
Yes.
And she asks, when was the moment that you knew exactly what your life purpose is?
I don't know if there is a specific moment that I can actually, kind of pinpoint, yes, or see exactly when did that happen. I think it's been a transition or a collection of moments that kind of led me to my purpose, to my passion, or to realizing what my purpose is. I remember as far back when I was a child, thinking, when I grow up, I want to be wise. That was something I always said to myself. And I think that kind of set a goal, unknowingly, deep inside, that led me to my purpose. And I think it's as a result of working with so many women, that seeing the struggles, their challenges, that's kind of led me to what I do now, and to wanting to inspire pretty much everyone that I get in touch with. Like the purpose of this show, for example, the Succeed Against the Odds. Why Succeed Against the Odds? This is a show where I bring people that have different backgrounds. Most of them have a story, an inspirational story, their own personal experience, and then they also have their expertise on what they do. And the reason I bring these people in the show is because it's kind of like what I wish I had there for me growing up. And through my career, we're kind of learning from other people's experiences and kind of get that little bit of mentorship along the way. So it kind of gives you that little boost to go, oh, someone else has gone through something similar, or, oh, I can use this tip and it can help me. So that's why I Succeed Against the Odds. And it's part of my purpose, is like to share information and to help people that I can help. If I can help, if the information helps you, actually let us know. Let me know. I want to know. Leave it in the comments. Leave in the comments below. As the information in these videos helped you at all, go back and watch some of the other episodes and let me know how they've impacted you, how they've changed you. You personally, maybe just a little aha, if you've had an aha, because it helps. And if you want to see something specifically, let me know. Yeah, we'll bring you to the show. Yeah, you can do it in the comments or email me.
Next question is from Billy. How did you keep your head above water and keep a positive attitude when your business ideas maybe didn't start out the way you thought they would?
Okay, I went through this. When I first started, I don't know if you've heard my story before, Billy, but when I first started, nobody came. I had an empty room. And it was a pivotal moment for me, where it forced me to start thinking from a different perspective, from a different direction. Is I put so much focus on wanting my clients and wanting customers, bringing them in, without really thinking about what is really going to bring my customer in and getting myself on the other side. So on a mindset, from a mindset standpoint, going to shift where you're looking at your business from. So that will help you. How do you keep your head above water? You do whatever it takes. I personally, when I first started, the first few months, I was 6 months with no income. I opened my doors and there was nothing. I had nothing. So I had a child to feed, and I got myself a part-time job temporarily. So I brought some income that way until I got my clients coming in. So yeah, you do whatever it takes. And the thing is, don't give up. I think what helped me and what keeps helping me is, I have this saying, it kind of comes from the Star Wars movie, Yoda, but I have my own version of it. And it's do or do. There is no die, as in there is no option to make this go away. So I'm going to figure a way to make it happen. And when you think that way, if you believe in what you're doing, that's how you keep your head above water.
The second part of that I just want to bring up, she said, how did you have the courage to regroup and tweak the plan when most people would have just quit and looked for a job?
And I think it's that. It's the not giving it an option, because I was 100% sure that I had a market base. I knew I would have clients, and it was just a matter of figuring out how to bring them in. So it was all about strategy in the end, and I knew that. So it's just finding out the right strategy. And if you can't figure it out on your own, just get help with that. Yeah, get a different perspective.
The next question is from Anita, and she says, how do you deal with people who try to bring you down when they see that you're getting positive attention?
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's a good question.
Yes, it's a very good question. There was a time when that happened, and it really hurt, and I took it to heart, and it hurt so much that it made me pull back, and it had me hold back. It held me back. I held myself back because of that, and in the end, it was not a good thing that I reacted that way. So now what I've learned with time is that when somebody tries to pull you down because you're getting attention or because you're doing well, you kind of have to think about why are they doing that? Is it because they're insecure, or are they really meaning well in the end? Maybe there's something that they see that you can't see. So I suggest that the best thing to do is to actually approach the person and ask why they feel that way, and not take it personally. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. However, it's really someone else being uncomfortable has nothing to do with you. If they can't be happy for your growth, maybe they're not the right person to be around. So yeah. How do I handle it? I just communicate or ignore. It depends. If it's a mean way, I don't even respond. But if it's something that can be discussed and say, why would you say that, or why would you think that? Maybe just get a perspective from the other end. But one thing I can, if I may suggest, is don't let it take you down. No matter what they say, just go do your thing. Do your thing.
Great. Yeah. So the next question is from Nikki.
Okay.
She says, when someone's going through a turbulent catalyst moment, so a difficult time, how do you remain positive and powerful versus letting that turbulent time drain you?
Okay, it's a great question, because it happens a lot, especially when you have your own business. And even if you don't have your own business, we all go through times in life where sometimes you just it's overwhelming, and things pull you in different directions, and life seems unbearable. The most important thing is to detach yourself a little bit from the situation. When you get to the point where you're feeling I'm suffocating, or I just can't stay positive because there's all this going on, is take time out. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, or even if it's 10 minutes a day, or throughout 1 minute here and there, where it's just a you time, where you just go, okay, I need to detach from everything, let it all out, and just kind of. And here's the thing, because I've gone through some big challenges myself, and the one thing that I found helped me is right at that time when things were at the worst, is to look at it like grab the bull by its horns and say, I am bigger than this problem, I am bigger than this issue, I'm bigger than this situation, and I know something's good going to come out of it. I don't know what it is right now, because you can't always know it. When you're in the middle of the storm, you can't see until after. So the easiest way, or the simplest way, in my opinion, to get through it is to look at it from that perspective and say, there is a lesson here. I know this is going to be for the good and something in the future. I don't know what that's going to look like. And also just think 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from now, or maybe even next week, depending on what the situation is, looking back, how would you handle the situation? By looking back at now, how would you be more powerful? How would you handle it better? So look at the situation from the future. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what I find helps empower you to know that it's actually for something greater or something good, whether it's to help other people with your story and what you're going through, or whether it's going to lead you into something that's going to bring you to a whole other level. You just don't know, right? When you're in the middle of it, you don't know. But one thing you should know is that it's going to lead to something, and just be open. I find that in the most challenging of times, that's when the biggest opportunities are hidden. And even, like I said, even if you can't see them right now, they're there. And maybe it's just a lesson itself. So there's something positive in there. So that's what should empower you, just knowing that there's something really good in the negative. Unfortunately, sometimes things are, they seem like dark, and sometimes can be very, very difficult, and it's hard to see the positive side, but there's always that flip side. So yeah, I hope that helps me too.
So the next question is from Victoria. Can anyone be an entrepreneur if they want to?
I believe that anyone can be an entrepreneur. And I know that there are a lot of colleagues of mine that will not agree with that. However, here is the key. The person has to want to be an entrepreneur, it has to put the work, and the right person has to match the person needs to match the right business model, or vice versa. So what I mean by that is, if you are a person who likes to, like, first of all, why would you want to be an entrepreneur, right? I think most people want the freedom part. So if you want to be an entrepreneur and decide to have, let's say, a shop or a store with, 9 to 5 or 9 to 10, whatever the hours would be in the store, physical location, and you're the kind of person who likes to travel a lot, that's not a good match, right? If the type of business that you decide to have requires that you sit at a desk all the time, that's not a good match if you're a person who likes to be in the outdoors all the time. There's also, within that, there are also business models. So what about the person that doesn't have a clue where to start with business and wants to have a business? They can. There are franchises. It's already done for you, right? So the key is, if you put the time, you can do it. Like, if you want to, anybody can be. I'm the most unlikely entrepreneur. I never thought I'd be my own boss. I never thought I'd have my own business, and now I love it. So, and it was because I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know what it entailed, and it seemed overwhelming. And it's funny you ask that, as Victoria asked this question, and now you wanted to ask that question as well. I remember someone threw a rock through a window in my office not too long ago.
What?
Yeah, it was some kid playing around. Anyway, so it was not really, I guess it was vandalism, but whatever. And there was the guy that came in to replace the glass, came in, and it was in my office, so I'm working away, and he starts talking to me. And then I said to him, well, have you ever considered having your own business? And he said, oh no, I just see my boss, and all he does is he sits doing accounting all day long. And that's not what I want to do. And his background was in business. Like, the guy who was installing the window had taken business at university and decided not to, because the job that he got, a part-time that now ended up being full-time,
Just worked better.
He looked at the boss and he's like, I don't want to be like that. So the boss really not doing, I don't know, maybe the boss liked doing the paperwork. I don't know. But having your own business does not mean doing accounting all day long and sitting behind a desk all day long. I don't sit behind a desk all day long. So yes, everybody can be an entrepreneur if they want to be, as long as they have the right business model for them. I guess that's the short version of the answer.
Great answer.
Jenny has her own questions.
Yes. Now
Should I be nervous?
No.
No?
No. These are, I don't know.
Okay, let's see.
So my first question is, as young people, we see a lot of social media influencers or people on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, who seem to have it all. They get to travel all over and live this amazing life. With that, I think we are seeing a larger lean towards young people going down the entrepreneurial route rather than right out of college trying to aspire for that 9 to 5. So what's one piece of advice that you think fresh young entrepreneurs should know?
I love that question. That's
Thank
a great question. Well, thank you, Jenny. Okay, so it's very easy to get caught up in that glamour, in the glamour of they have it all and they're traveling. And, you know, with my background, having been a performer, I can tell you, and it's the same, and having worked in the film industry as well, I can tell you for every 1 minute that you see of glory and, you know, glamour of on stage or on film, there are 16, 20, 30, 40, 70, 100 hours of hard work that nobody sees behind that one moment. So if you're considering entrepreneurship, it's one thing that you want to be very aware of, that it's not going to be, I'm an entrepreneur and now I travel the world and it's all glamour. So there is a flip side to that, and it's a whole lot of hard work. So some of those Instagram profiles may be real, where the people are really putting the work and they are as successful as they seem. However, behind that success, there's all that hard work. But they're also, you also want to be very aware that there are some accounts that make it look like they're successful and they're not necessarily all that it seems. So just be aware of that. It takes a lot of work. I encourage, I believe, and I don't know if you remember this, but when I interviewed you, when you came, I said, I believe everybody should be an entrepreneur. You should be an entrepreneur. And I hired you as your own contractor because I believe that that's where the freedom is. I'm totally about freedom. That's my thing. And when you're able to fine tune that and get into your groove and find that path, I don't think you ever want to work for anyone else. So if you are a young person considering being an entrepreneur, I say go for it. It helps to also get work and work for another company and get some experience under other people. So to have both sides before you venture on your own, unless you really can't work for someone else. I'm all for entrepreneurship. I think there is no such thing as a secure job anymore. So, and that's how I actually became an entrepreneur, because no one was hiring me and I had no choice. I had to create my own job, and I'm glad for that. It was not easy at first, but I'm very glad that happened, because I discovered a whole new world. I would never want to go back. So yes, go for it. So considering entrepreneurship, but know that you have to put the work.
My next question is do you believe that there's one broad path to success? If yes, what is it? And if you don't believe that, how does one know that the path they're on is worth following?
Okay, that's quite the question. Is there one broad path to success? It all depends on what your definition of success is. Right? So what is your definition of success, number one? Because for some people, success is just having a loving family, just being able to pay their bills month to month. For other people, success is being able to travel the world and live carefree. So it depends on what. So is there one broad? I don't think so. I think it's individual.
And then, so how do you know that the work you're doing, the path you're on, is something you should continue doing, or maybe it's something that it's not in the cards for you?
I think you kind of see it from what happens around you while you're on that path. So if you pay attention, and you kind of notice things, and you get kind of feedback from whether it's events or people or situations, where it kind of gives you the hint of this may be a good direction, or it may not be a good direction. I suggest to always be very broad as you're moving into that path, just so that you get more of that feedback versus just going very narrow. Because if you go super narrow, you may lose some of the feedback and then give up on something that might actually be very valuable and where it is that you want to go. Can you give me something a bit more specific as far as?
I think I'm always curious when people are saying, when you hear stories of, I worked 10 years on this dream and finally I made it. And that's awesome. But then you see people sometimes where you see their business and they're kind of doing, you know, their thing, and you kind of look at them and you're like, is this ever going to actually, they could be going for 10 years. And like you said, they might not get that feedback. So they're just going for 10 years without really getting anywhere.
Okay, so I'm glad I asked you to clarify that, because when a business goes on for, let's say, 10 years, like you said, and it's not really, it's kind of what I call the flat line. It's not really going anywhere. There are a couple of reasons. Maybe the owner of the business has lost its drive, doesn't have higher goals for the business, or doesn't even know why he's doing it. Like, what's the next step? Maybe they don't have a plan. And it's all of the above, really. So how do you know you're on the right path? If you lose the joy, here's the thing: if you start a business, and at some point in that journey of having that business, you find that your passion is not there anymore, you have to stop and ask yourself why, and ask yourself tell yourself to look back on when you started, why you started, what was that fire that got you started, what was the reason you wanted, what did you want when you started at the end. And if that doesn't fire you up anymore or it doesn't fire you up enough to get the engine going again, then maybe it's just time for a change. I did that with the dance company. I mean, I ran it for 10 years, and I got to a point where I felt my cup was full. I was satisfied with all I had done with it, and it was time for me to change. And it's not because the company was growing. The company was doing really well, but it got to a point where I lost my passion for making it go anywhere else. So in the last 2 years I had the studio, I kind of lost the momentum. I didn't give it the love that it needed. I kind of withdrew. So that was a sign that it was time to do something different, because I looked back, do I still want to do this? And I decided, no, that is not what I wanted to do. I felt I had bigger things I wanted to do. So yeah, so you kind of ask it, look back on why you started, and if it doesn't fire you up. However, I suggest if you have a business and you do have, you still want it to grow, do not lose momentum. It's really hard to get it back up. Yeah.
Awesome. My third question.
3 questions.
Is
fire up.
What is your biggest business pet peeve you see clients or even your other entrepreneurs do, and why is it a pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve. Okay. My biggest pet peeve is seeing entrepreneurs buy everything that comes their way, the DIY, where they see, oh, you need to do this for your business. There'll be somebody promoting this specific thing, and they'll go buy that. And then someone else will suggest something else, and they'll go, oh, ClickFunnels is the answer for everything, or this is what you need, and that was, and all these programs, and this is how you get clients. And not all these programs are good programs. However, they're not necessarily 100% the fit to your business or the model of your business. So if, say, a program that is being promoted says, this is how you get clients, I got $1 million in 2 days because I use this system, it's a proven system. Well, it's a proven system for that person's business. Whether it's true or not, it's a different story. But is it a proven system for your specific business, for your specific market? And once again, I go back to that market research thing. So my biggest pet peeve is seeing entrepreneurs spend money on things they think they're investing in, and actually turns into expense because it does not give the return of investment. So that's my biggest pet peeve, is seeing entrepreneurs buying things that don't match their business, and it's actually draining them versus helping them, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
Makes
Makes
me
sense.
very sad.
So a follow-up to that then would be, how does one know which program to follow? Because
You have to have a strategy. You can't just piecemeal. You don't want to piecemeal your business. So you have to have an actual plan for your business. I'm not talking about business plan as in the traditional business plan, but you do have to have a strategy. So what is it that you want and how are you going to get there, right? What is the path? And then if you see a program out there, and there are some really good programs that probably are the fit for your business, don't jump in on the special offer. It's only going to last for 2 hours. If you don't buy it right now, and it's gone forever, because it's gone forever, and so will your money, right? So make sure that whatever you invest in is not that you're not buying out of emotion, that you're actually buying out of logic, and really does it really make sense? Is it really going to bring me what it says is going to bring me in my business, your business specifically? So that's my pet peeve.
very good. My fourth question is, what is one thing you know now that you wish you could tell your 23-year-old self?
My 23-year-old
Yes,
self?
specifically 23.
Let's see, I'm thinking of myself when I was 23. I was already married. Can we go back a little further back?
Well, how about just what you would tell your younger
My
self?
younger self. You know, I would tell myself, and I know other people said the same thing for themselves when I've heard that question, is really don't hold back. Like if you feel like doing something, just do it. If something pulls you to, even if you're gonna fall flat on the face, doesn't matter. But just do it. Just do it. Like Nike says, just do it. Don't hold back.
Because the regret of not doing it is worse, or?
Yeah, and then it's the regret of not doing it. It's missed opportunities. It changes. It's that decision, right? So make decisions. Make decisions, and make the decisions in your favor, and not at someone else's expense, but make the decisions in your favor. So, yes, that's what I would say.
How do you think your younger self would take that?
My younger self?
Yeah.
If it was me talking to myself?
Yeah.
I'd listen.
Yeah?
Yeah. I would listen. I think I probably encourage myself to look into entrepreneurship early on in the business. I think the trait was always there. I was always doing things, wanting to do things, and coming up with ideas. So I think that trait has always been there. So I think I would explore that. Yeah, I would tell myself to be your own boss. Even if you get a job, don't ever let anyone else tell you that you can't work, because that was one of my issues. I was told I couldn't work for a long time. So yeah, I would fight for that. I would fight for the freedom to do what I want to do. That's it. I would tell myself to fight for the freedom to do what it is I wanted to do.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, what do you know? Through all the questions and discussion, we forgot to close out the video. I want to thank everyone who sent me the questions. Let me know in the comments below which one resonated with you the most, or if there is a specific topic you would like me to do a video on. If you want to participate in the next Q&A, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The links are in the description. And before you go, be sure to hit that like button below and subscribe to this channel for more tips, training, and inspiration. That's it for now, and yet there is more. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I love it.